What's going on, everybody? I want to welcome you to another Thursday. We are here, man. I can't believe, it's like the weeks just go by and by. The Bible says how life can be like a vapor. I mean, it just moves. And so we got to value each day and cherish each moment that we have. And so I am thankful that you are here with me today on this great Thursday. And I hope you've had a great week so far. You've had a great day so far. And as I always said, if you haven't, maybe it's been a rough day. It's been a rough week. On the uplift, we are here to uplift you, to encourage one another, to push you past whatever you are feeling, whatever you're thinking. Because we know in this life, man, life can try to weigh you down, try to push you down. But the good news is we have a weapon, and that weapon is God's word. So as you're coming in, I need you to say hello. I need you to speak. All that good stuff. You know how we do it. And while we here, why wait? Like, why prolong it? Come on, share this. Send this to somebody that somebody that, really needs the word. Because we all know some people in our lives, like, man, maybe they're going through something. They need encouragement. They need to be inspired. All of the above. I want to encourage you to do that. So please share this with them. All right. As you're doing that, all right, all the ladies, we are looking forward to this. We announced this for the first time Sunday. And so I want you to catch this and listen to this, man. Look, the ladies social is coming, is on the way. All right. So July 13th, 10 a.m. We want you to be there at 4137 Washington Avenue. It's going to be a really great time. So ladies, invite another lady. But look, more than anything, you got to be there. Make sure you are there. So do us a favor, if you're able to, even in this moment, scan that QR code that you see right there on the screen so that we can account for you, so that we can prepare for you. There are many great things that are happening so that we can make sure your experience is as smooth and as great as possible. So please do us that great favor and sign up so that you can be a part of this social. All right. So I appreciate everybody sharing, everybody doing what it takes so we could spread the word. Now, I know some of y'all trying to get ready for that presidential debate. Look, Donald Trump going to be there. Joe Biden going to be there. Look, they going to look. We got to get this word in, Rowe. Okay. So I want to give a shout out also. Last week, Minister Mike, we got to give him a hand. And I really just wanted the horn. I hit the wrong button. All right. So we want to give him a shout out for that great message he, shared with us on Thursday. Awesome. I used him. I ribbed him a little bit, Sunday when he was talking about that lady who jacked him out of that money, who said she said it was for his rent, but I'm glad he overcame it. He's all good now. So having that winner's mindset, I hope you keep that with you because you want to think like a winner in every situation that you approach. Even for your daily life, you want to think like a winner. But all right, now tonight, what I love about God, we go from victory, from faith to faith. We just keep going to the next level. That's what I love about having a relationship with God. And so, when we are amongst each other as God's people, we can only go up. We can only elevate. And so tonight, we're just gonna keep doing that. We're gonna keep going up tonight. I got another amazing, outstanding. What's some other words that I can use? I mean, man, just amazing individual that's gonna share with us tonight. You talk about, what I like about some people is that although they may be like educated and they have a lot of letters behind their names, I always mess with my wife when I talk to her about all these degrees she has behind her names. This individual is another one, and recently an amazing accomplishment. If I say the accomplishment, it might give it away. It might just totally spoil the surprise. I don't know if I want to do that just quite yet, but maybe I just should. So, she has just been an amazing asset to number one. Let me say she's an asset to God, and she has been a great asset to our family, to our church family, all the above, man. So I need y'all to get the fire emojis ready. I need everything you got. I need fire. I need the heart emojis. I need everything that you got. And I need y'all to do me a favor and let's welcome to the uplift. I think this might be the first time. It may be. So this makes it even more special. I need y'all to welcome Minister Lakeisha Jefferson. Okay, wait, I gotta get it right to get it on the screen. Okay, how you feeling today?
Wonderful. How about you?
I am, I hope I did okay on that introduction. I try to, you know, introduce people in the best way that I can. Sometimes I do it good, sometimes, but I hope you feel welcome and special.
I do. I do.
So, one of the recent accomplishment that would you say you becoming a judge, was that like a really like a dream of yours that has come true?
Absolutely. For
Yeah.
sure.
And
Definitely.
and
Definitely.
right before we got on, we were just talking about how you now are in a greater position to really help people, to really some people you got to bring that the discipline up on them, but um you're still in a great position that you can really help people turn their lives around. And
Mhm.
because I've seen some judges, they give people grace, you know what I'm saying, they extend some grace. I don't know, I really want to come to one of your sessions and see you in action.
We have open proceedings. You're welcome. You are
Okay, that's
welcome. And
all.
I do two dockets every day, nine
Okay.
o'clock and 1:30. So you can catch one of them Monday through Friday. I'm here.
Okay, that's all I need to know. I'm gonna bring Chelsea up in there. We gonna slip up in there and we gonna see you do your thing. Cause I want to see you. I've seen you in other aspects, but I need to see the judge. But look, I'm gonna stop all this talking, y'all. I need y'all to, man, give Minister Lakeisha, Judge Jefferson, all of these titles she has. I mean, it's amazing. But look, I need y'all to give her your undivided attention. Make sure you locked in. You share this because this is going to help improve your life. So take it away.
All right. Well, first, I just want to say, Pastor Caleb, that it is really an honor and a privilege to serve at Upper Room Bible Church. Many people probably don't know this has been my place of worship and my family since 2003. So I'm right at about 21 years at this point. And I have to say that it was one of the best decisions that I have made in my life. So I would be remiss if I did not take time to just acknowledge and say how much I appreciate the fact that my introduction to this ministry was my mom, who has transitioned to be with the Lord. And so, were it not for her, I don't know if my path would have crossed Upper Room Bible Church. But I have to tell you that it changed my entire life. And so for that, I'm so very thankful and so very grateful for not just having a church family, but to have an experience, to have a true relationship with your pastors. I think is very important for every Christian. So I just want to say thank you for having me tonight. I just wanted to let you all know just how much I really love, appreciate, and adore you guys. Um, but tonight, my message is titled, "What Are You Doing to Address the Goliaths in Your Life?" And my subtopic is, "You Have the Victory." And so when we get to the end of the message, or maybe towards the end of the message, you will understand better why the subtopic is "You Have the Victory." So if you are familiar, and I think that every child that has attended church in some form of children's church is familiar with the story of David and Goliath. So I think we kind of know the story and have an understanding. But for me, in preparation and studying for this, I actually shared um, a variation of this message with some graduates a few weeks ago um, from high school, and some of them were graduating from colleges, and some of them were getting postdoctorate degrees. And so I said to them when I shared this message that although this is a message that was actually prepared for the graduates, it is a message that we can all use in our daily lives. And so you'll see when we get towards the end of the message why the subtopic is "You Have the Victory," because it's very important in this story to understand who Goliath was, understand who David was, because then now you have a way to locate and identify yourself as a Christian, to understand who you are and where you should be walking and how you get there. So, I am going to be sharing from 1 Samuel 17, chapter 17, verses 1 through 52. And yes, I'm going to read all 52 scriptures because they are important. So I will be sharing from the ESV version of the Bible when I read um, verses 1 through 25. And then when I get to verses 26 through 52, I'll be switching to the Message translation. So, and that'll make sense to you in just a second as well. So let's start off with 1 Samuel 17, verses 1 through 25. And it says, "Now the Philistines gathered their armies for battle, and they were gathered at Soko," and work with me on the pronunciation of certain things. And they were gathered at Soko, which belongs to Judah, and encamped between Soko and Azekah in Ephes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered and encamped in the valley of Elah, and drew up in line of battle against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on the mountain on one side, and Israel stood on the mountain on the other side, with a valley between them. So, what were they doing? They were preparing for battle. So, one side is lining up on one side of the valley, the other side is lining up on the other side of the valley so that they can mark their territory and then prepare for their plans of attack against the other army. And there came out from the camp of the Philistines a champion named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Now, I had to do a little research, And this is important to understand who Goliath was. So, Goliath was the champion of the Philistine army. He was basically their not so secret weapon to victory. So, that was part of their plan of attack, right? So, they're using Goliath to go out so that they can ensure that they have victory over any army that they face. So, when I first read this, I didn't know what 6 cubits in a span was. So I had to go and look it up so that I could break it down in what modern terms are, right? So several English translations report that Goliath stood 6 cubits in the span, or about 9 feet and 9 inches tall. Now that's a tall man, right? I liken it to, if you're thinking about players in the NBA and about how tall they are, right? The average height of an NBA player is somewhere between the range of 6'4" and 6'7". Sometimes they could even be 7 feet, 1 inch tall, right? So you just imagine that the tallest NBA or basketball player that you know, add another 2 feet to that. That's a huge man. So this man, Goliath, was a part of the Philistine army. I am more than sure that standing up to someone who is 9 feet tall had to be intimidating, right? So, as I said, Goliath was their not so secret weapon, and he was a Philistine champion fighting to dominate the territory. So, let's go back to verse number 5. He had a helmet of bronze on his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. And he had bronze armor on his legs, and a javelin of bronze slung between his shoulder. Now, I want you to get the picture of what Goliath really had to look like if you're a part of the Israeli army, right? You see this man coming, standing already on his own at 9 feet tall. We're going to add to that that he has armor on him that he's equipped with, right? So he's got this huge bronze helmet on his head. He also has this huge coat on him that is the weight of 5,000 shekels of bronze. So he's got a huge bronze helmet, a huge coat that's made of bronze, and then he's got bronze armor on both of his legs and a javelin of bronze. So now he's all clad in nothing but one of the purest forms of metal that there is. Now, we're not talking about that little cheap metal that we're producing in these days and times, right? We are talking about bronze in its purest form, which I'm sure must have added at least 20 pounds to this already huge man, right? Imagine him running at you, right? And all you are is, let's say, average height of maybe 5'8", 5'9", as a man back in that day and time, with this 2 foot tall man with all of this heavy metal on him. Okay. The shaft of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. And his shield bearer went before him. Now, he's got all of this bronze on him. He's 9 feet tall. And now we know that his spear, his weapon, as if he needs one, but his weapon is made of pure iron, right? And it's like a weaver's beam, and it weighed 600 shekels of iron. So even with all of this intimidating figure of a man that Goliath is, the word says that his shield bearer still goes out before him. Now, you know what that was for, right? And I don't want to get ahead of myself. But again, this is the intimidating factor so that maybe they don't even have to fight because they're just going to scare the Israeli army into running off and they never have to lift a finger. Okay. And his shield bearer went before him. He stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why have you come out to draw up for battle?" Am I not a Philistine? And are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves and let him come down to me. If he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. Now, this is Goliath, and he's shouting this over across this valley to where the Israeli army is standing. So not only is he coming out clad in all of this armor, standing at 9 feet tall, now he want to talk noise too. So you want to add insult to injury before we can even get started. And then he's mocking them because he says, if he is able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the ranks of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. So now what he's doing is telling the Israeli army, y'all not even men. Now that's just disrespectful. You already are in a position where physically you are overpowering and overbearing the other members of the Israeli army. But again, now you're adding insult to injury, coming out, talking your noise, and you're going to say, I'm not even a man. When Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now, that's who Goliath was. The reason that this is important is because that was the whole point. The whole point of Goliath coming out to talk noise and to show himself to the Israeli army is probably a tactic or a weapon that they had used in the past against other armies to intimidate them. If you allow yourself to be dominated before the battle even begins, and you succumb to the fear that is being spewed at you, then what do you think the outcome is going to be? So that's why we're breaking down the relationship and the real battle between David and Goliath, because that's important for you, because the modern day Goliath is the circumstances, the situations, and the things, the mountains that you are looking into and facing to overcome in modern day times with this word. Verse 12. Now David was the son of an Ephrathite of Bethlehem in Judah named Jesse, who had 8 sons. In the days of Saul, the man was already old and advanced in years. The 3 oldest sons of Jesse had followed Saul to the battle. So David's brothers, the other 7, are all three of the 7 of his other brothers are already in the battle in with Saul. Saul as the king, the ruler of Israel. 3 of David's brothers are in this Israeli army who is standing over here on the other side of the valley, listening to Goliath taunt them. And the names of his 3 sons who went to the battle were Eliab the firstborn, and next to him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. David was the youngest. The 3 eldest followed Saul, but David went back and forth from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. So David was a sheep herder. His 3 oldest brothers have already gone to battle. He's not gone. He's just minding his own business, tending the sheep back there in his father's farm. But he's going back and forth to visit his brothers who are fighting in the war for Saul. So he's going back and forth from the battlefield where they are back to the shepherd farm, the sheep farm where he is working at his dad's. For 40 days, the Philistine came forward and took his stand morning and evening. So for 40 days straight, Goliath is coming out and he's saying to them, why have you come out to draw up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? Are you not servants of Saul? Choose a man for yourselves. Let them come down to me. If he's able to fight with me and kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then you shall be our servants and serve us. So again, they're setting up the atmosphere of intimidation and fear for the Israeli army because for 40 days, he's going back and forth. Every morning he's coming out and he's shouting all of this over the lines to the Israeli army to scare them. Verse 17, and Jesse said to David his son, take for your brothers an ephah of this parched grain and these 10 loaves and carry them quickly to the camp to your brothers. Also, take these 10 cheeses to the commander of their 1,000. See if your brothers are well and bring some token from them. Now, Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines. Now, Jesse is instructing David, a sheep herder, a young man who's shorter than 5 feet tall, who is really at an enormous disadvantage in any match of physical strength. His brothers are warriors in the Israelite army. They've been trained for battle. But David is just a sheep herder, right? Jesse, his father, is telling him, I need you to go check on your brothers. They're down there fighting for Saul in the Israeli army, okay? You're going to take all of this food to them. Make sure that they're eating, make sure that they're taken care of. And then while you're down there, I need you to be the one to lay eyes on them to tell me that they're doing well. So, what does that really translate into? Jesse just wants to make sure that his children are still alive. So, he's sending David down to the battle with the food so that someone can lay eyes on them, right? So David goes down, shorter than 5 feet tall. He's never been on a battlefield, let alone even seen a war take place, because he's a sheep herder. Why is this important? It's important because you're going to see how God took David into unfamiliar territory and he came out victorious anyway because he was walking with God. So while Goliath is coming out and taunting them every day, setting up the atmosphere of fear, David is back there in the back pasture herding the sheep and not even realizing that that's the greatest preparation for this battle that there ever could have been. All right, number 19. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah fighting with the Philistines. And David rose early in the morning and left the sheep with a keeper and took the provisions and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the encampment as the host was going out to the battle line, shouting the war cry. And Israel and the Philistines drew up for battle, army against army. David left the things in charge of the keeper of the baggage and ran to the ranks and went and greeted his brothers. And as he talked with him, behold, the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, came up out of the ranks of the Philistines and spoke the same words as before. And David heard him. So Goliath comes out while David is delivering this food. He's greeting his brothers, and now he can hear Goliath shouting and taunting them, telling them how they're less than men, telling them that if you kill me as the champion of the Philistine army, then we're going to be your servants. But if we kill you, then now you got to be our servants. And who do you all think you are because you know you're not going to be victorious over us because we're the mighty Philistines. So David hears this. Verse 24. All the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him and were much afraid. Once again, 40 days and 40 nights. Goliath is coming out. He's going out to greet them, taunt them, call them every name in the book, talking all the noise that he can. And now, because he set up this atmosphere of intimidation, the Israeli army is starting to fail in their thoughts. They're afraid. They saw the man. They fled from him. They became afraid. Well, that was the whole point, right? So David hears this. So now I'm going to switch over to the Message translation in verse 26. David, who was talking to the men standing around him, asked, "What's in it for the man who kills the Philistine and gets rid of this ugly blot on Israel's honor? Who does he think he is anyway, this uncircumcised Philistine, taunting the armies of God alive?" So David is responding to Goliath very differently from the Israeli army. The Israeli army is coming out every morning and they're listening to this. And here we are on now the 41st day, and they are afraid and they are fleeing. But David says, so what's in it for the man that kills this man? The one that's out here talking noise every morning. What's in it for the person who gets rid of this ugly blot on Israel's honor? Who does he think he is anyway, this uncircumcised Philistine? They told him what everyone was saying about what the king would do for the man who killed the Philistine. Eliab, David's oldest brother, heard David fraternizing with the men, and he lost his temper. He walks over to David and says, "David, what are you doing here? Why are you not minding your business, tending that scrawny flock of sheep? I know what you're up to. You've come down here to see the sights, hoping for a ringside seat at a bloody battle. So what is it with you?" replied David. "All I did was ask a question." Ignoring his brother, David turns to someone else and asks the same question. "What's in it for the man that kills this Philistine who's disrespecting us? Are we not the army of the one and only true and living God? Who does this Philistine think that he is talking to us like this?" Right? The things David was saying were picked up and reported to Saul. Saul sent for him. So now word has gotten back to King Saul that this sheep herder is down here on the front enemy lines saying, "I don't know why y'all scared, because we serve the one and only true living God. I don't know why y'all so intimidated and afraid of this man." So King Saul has to know who this young man is. So he sends for him. "Master," said David, "don't give up hope. I'm ready to go and fight this Philistine." Saul answered David, "You can't go and fight this Philistine. You're too young and inexperienced." Again, what did we say earlier? David had never been on a battlefield, let alone even seen a war take place. He was sent into unfamiliar territory, and Saul recognized and he knew that. So that's why he's saying to him, "You're too young. You're too inexperienced. Your brothers have been here. They've been trained for war. They're in the army. You came down here to really just deliver food. And now you ready to go fight? Now, where did you gain this experience that fast?" Saul says to him, "This Philistine has been at this fighting business since before you were born." David said, I've been a shepherd tending sheep for my father. Whenever a lion or bear came and took a lamb from the flock, I'd go after it, knock it down, and rescue the lamb. If it turned on me, I'd grab it by the throat, wring its neck, and kill it. Lion or bear, it made no difference. I killed it. And I'll do the same to this Philistine pig who is taunting the troops of God alive. God, who delivered me from the teeth of the lion and the claws of the bear, will deliver me from this Philistine. So now, what is David doing here? Saul is telling him that he's too young and he's too inexperienced. But David is now responding and telling him, I know exactly who I am. I'm a child of the only one and true and living God. Y'all think I just been back here tending sheep, feeding them whatever sheep eat. I don't know if that's grain or whatever they eat, vegetables. I'm not sure. I don't own any sheep, but he's telling them, y'all are trying to discount me and act as if I've had no experience. But let me tell you who I am. Number one, I'm a child of God. Number two, I've been back here killing lions and bears to protect my father's flock. It made no difference how mighty these lions and bears may have been. When I came up against them, I killed them. I don't look at this Philistine any different, and I'm ready to go. So David is telling Saul who he is, which is very different from what the Israel army, the ones who've been trained for war, are saying. It's important what you're saying when you're facing Goliaths, when you are facing challenges of your life, when you are facing circumstances that are contrary to what it is that you want to see. It's important what comes out of your mouth. And understanding what comes out of your mouth first starts with you recognizing who you are. That's what David did. Saul said, go, and God help you. Then Saul outfitted David as a soldier in armor. He put his bronze helmet on his head and belted his sword on him over the armor. David tried to walk, but he could hardly budge. David told Saul, now, King, I can't even move with all this stuff on me. I'm not used to this. David took it all off. Then David took his shepherd's staff, selected 5 smooth stones from the brook, and put them in the pocket of his shepherd's pack, and with his sling in his hand, approached Goliath. Now, what are your 5 smooth stones in present day time? Now, I told y'all, I've been at Upper Room now since 2003. One of the very first messages that Pastor Rowe taught was the correlation between 5 smooth stones and 5 scriptures. This is the key. Back in that day, David had certain weapons that he used. His weapon of choice at that time were the 5 smooth stones that he recovered from or took from that brook. Our 5 smooth stones is, what are the 5 scriptures that are your go-to scriptures in your time of need, in your time of adversity? What are the 5 scriptures that you know you need to rattle off to speak to those Goliaths in your life, to speak to those circumstances, to speak to those situations? You've got to have 5 scriptures that are your go-to scriptures. Those are your 5 smooth stones. One of the most important lessons that Pastor Rowe taught me. So let's go back. because again, I don't want to get ahead of myself because I really need y'all to get this. So here comes David. He takes out his shepherd's staff. He's got these 5 stones from the brook. He puts them in the pocket of his shepherd's pack. So he puts them in his bag. This is the same bag that he's using to tend the sheep in the back of his father's farm. So that when he encounters these bears, when he encounters these lions, he's already got his stones in his pocket. He's got his shepherd's staff for when not only he needs to grab onto and hold on to one of the sheep to keep them from falling over the ledge or in some sort of danger, in the way of danger. He also can use this staff as a weapon. So imagine David coming out here standing less than 5 feet tall, y'all. He's got this shepherd staff. He's got, I don't know if this is a crossbody bag, but it's some kind of bag that has these little stones in it. Goliath is over here, 9 feet tall, clad in all of this bronze armor. You got to get the visual, right? So David walks up to him, and the Philistine, Goliath, is pacing back and forth. His shield bearer is in front of him. He notices David because it takes him a minute, I'm sure, to notice him because he's 9 feet tall. David is 4 feet shorter than him. David is probably running around, moving all around. So him standing that tall, he probably doesn't notice David at first. The Philistine takes one look down on him and sneers, a mere boy, apple cheeked and peach fuzzed. The Philistine begins to ridicule David, and he says, "Am I a dog that you come after me with a stick?" And then he begins to curse him. "Come on," said the Philistine. "I'll make roadkill of you for the buzzards. I'll turn you into a tasty morsel for the field mice." David answers, "You come at me with sword and spear and battle axe." See, Goliath, he wasn't ready for that because he's not used to that, right? He's used to being the only one that's talking noise and being confident in his abilities to set up this atmosphere of intimidation and fear. "Come on," says the Philistine. "I'll make roadkill of you for the buzzards." David comes right back and says, "I come at you in the name of God of the angel armies, the God of Israel's troops, whom you curse and you mock. This very day, God is handing you over to me. I'm about to kill you, cut off your head, and serve up your body and the bodies of your Philistine buddies to the crows and coyotes. The whole earth will know that there's an extraordinary God in Israel, and everyone gathered here will learn that God doesn't save by means of sword or spear. The battle belongs to God. He's handing you to us on a platter." Baby David is talking cash money stuff. Do you hear me? He is like, "You don't know how to talk noise. I could show you a thing or two about talking noise." So now this is frustrating Goliath because, again, he's not used to this. He's rattled. So now David is chipping away at his confidence because David is so confident in who he is. That roused the Philistine, and he started toward David. David took off from the front line, running toward the Philistine. David reached into his pocket for a stone, slung it, and hit the Philistine hard in the forehead, embedding the stone deeply. The Philistine crashed, face down in the dirt. That's how David beat the Philistine, with a sling and a stone. He hit him and killed him. No sword for David. Then David ran up to the Philistine and stood over him. He pulled the giant's sword from its sheath and finished the job by cutting off his head. When the Philistines saw that their great champion was dead, they scattered, running for their lives. So here's the question. What are you doing to address the Goliaths in your life? Do you have your 5 smooth stones ready in the face of adversity? So here's the thing. I was sharing this in particular with the graduates a few weeks ago and told them that I know that my bio was included in the materials that they had received. And I said to them, bios are wonderful. They're great. They tell you all the great things about the speaker and what that speaker has accomplished, right? But what's never included in a bio are the Goliaths that speaker has faced. The circumstances, the challenges, the hurdles are not included in that bio, right? So for me, I recognize and understand the place in the position that God has elevated me to. But what I want you to know is that it didn't come without me facing certain Goliaths. That bio didn't tell y'all that I was on academic probation after my first semester in law school. That bio didn't tell you that I failed the bar 2 times and on my third time is when I passed. That bio didn't tell you that in 2010, I had a medical emergency, went to the hospital. The doctors were really pronouncing a death sentence over my life. But I had been at Upper Room for 7 years. And what I learned from Pastor Rowe was the importance of your confessions and what you are saying. I talked to Pastor Rowe from the time that I was on academic probation, even walking through the failures of the bars. I was talking to Pastor Rowe. I was being taught by him. So I wasn't just coming to church and listening and, singing. I wasn't just doing that. I was talking with him and oftentimes having very tough conversations with him because he was challenging me. He was pushing me to grow. He was telling me and teaching me the importance of how powerful of what it is that's coming out of your mouth. He was helping me to retrain and renew my mind. That is so very important when you are facing Goliaths in situations when these bills are hollering at you, when you have, your professors and the administrators of the school saying, well, if you don't get off academic probation, that you'll just be one of those people that just has to start all over again. I had to make a decision that wasn't an option for me. So I had to be very, very specific and very conscious about what I was saying during that time. So in 2010, I ended up in ICU. I've been at Upper Room now for 7 years, and I carry these confession books in my purse. So I go to the emergency room one night because I had been experiencing some pain in my body that to a certain degree I had ignored and just tried to push through. So I get to the ER that night and the ER doctor comes out and says to me, Miss Jefferson, you got to have emergency surgery in the morning. You have 2 huge blood clots. One is covering the entirety of your right lung, and the other is covering almost 80% of your left lung. We have to perform emergency surgery in the morning on you because we just don't have everything set up tonight to get it done because we've got to shrink these blood clots or you're not going to make it. So, y'all, thank God for the word. My mind was so calm and so relaxed that the only thing that I could think of next to say was, so you think I'll be out of here by Wednesday? Because I have court Wednesday. Y'all, that ER doctor looked at me like, I know this lady lying right here. Something is wrong with her. But I was so resolved in my mind because what it is that you're saying to me, I get it. And I'm going to let you do your job. But that's not the final word for me. He then tells me to call my emergency contacts, tell them to get up here. Okay, I'm going to do all that. That's fine. Soon as he left out, I go to my purse, I grab my confessions book on healing. I begin immediately to, to speak healing over my body. I thank you, ER doctor, for telling me exactly what the issue is because I know now how to target my prayers. I know now how to target my confessions. I know where I need to go with this thing, right? I call my emergency contacts once I'm done, speaking my confessions. And then I just want to let y'all know, and I'm going to get to this in just 1 second too. And I'm coming, Pastor Caleb. I know I got to wrap this up. But I didn't just start the confessions when I got the diagnosis. Pastor Rowe had trained me for 7 years that these are my daily confessions. This is what I'm speaking over my life every morning, every day. It has now become a part of my routine. It's my ritual, so to speak, that I'm not waiting until I get into the middle of the battle. It's important what I'm saying before I get there, right? I'm saying it repeatedly every single morning. I've got my 5 smooth stones already set. I'm standing on the word of God. So there's only one outcome for me, and that's victory. That's it. It's just victory for me. So I say my confessions. I call my emergency contacts. The next morning, I have the emergency surgery just as they said that I would. I'm in ICU, kicked back in the bed. I'm watching TV, y'all. I hear a knock on the door. I turn around. It's about 6 or 7 doctors. One of the female doctors says, Miss Jefferson, is it okay if we come in? I said, sure, come in. And I'm looking because I'm like, I don't know them. I know who the surgeon was. And now they've given me an oncologist. And that's not the oncologist that has been coming to see me. So who are these people? The female doctor comes in. She said, Miss Jefferson, we had to come and see you. They are talking about you all over this hospital because the diagnosis that you came in with, people don't normally live. They don't normally walk out after this. But we have looked at your labs, we have looked at your records, and this is amazing how you have pulled through this. And we knew that this was a miracle. So we just had to come and witness the miracle for ourselves. We know that this could have been nothing but God, that you made it through. It's important what you're saying in the face of adversity. It's important for you to have 5 smooth stones ready to go, right? Why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this because every single one of us can apply the David and Goliath story to circumstances and situations that we are facing every day. But facing those situations and those circumstances knowing that the only outcome for you is victory. So what are you doing to address the Goliaths in your life? You have the victory. It's in your mouth, it's in your daily walk, because as a child of God, every single promise contained in his word belongs to you. Your God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above anything that you could ever ask or think. Where I am now sitting today in 2020 is when I started the journey. The first time I ran, I didn't win, and I thought that it was the end of the world. And I quickly had to pivot and watch what was coming out of my mouth at that time, right? Because when you understand the purpose and the plan that God has for you, that it's not for you, but it's about how He will use that platform for Him to get the glory. It was important for me to keep and stay on the course of saying the right thing, speaking the right thing, facing that adversity, and quickly recovering from something that was a blow to me. But truth be told, sometimes these are blow to our egos, right? Because what we're thinking is, oh no, I got a word. Somebody told me that I was supposed to be a judge. Well, I wish they would have told me when. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because it was another way and another lesson for me to stay the course and remember to speak only what the word says in the face of adversity. So I just want to leave you with a couple of things. God brought David into unfamiliar territory. And ultimately, God got the glory because David was reminding himself, despite what everybody else was saying, even his own brothers, he was reminded of who he was. Even when Saul gave him the armor that he wasn't used to wearing, David had enough confidence to say, I appreciate that, King Saul, but this ain't it. I got to do what I know that God has been equipping me to do back there in the back of my father's farm. I'm going to go with God and these 5 smooth stones and this staff because that is what has carried me thus far. I want to encourage you all today. You go with God. You be consistent and stay the course of where God has brought you, right? You're going into unfamiliar territory, but you're already equipped. You're already equipped with the things that you need. Keep that word in your mouth. You be consistent with that. And you don't let anybody or anything, no situation get you off that course. That's how you address the Goliaths in your life. Declare by faith certain things over your life. Some of my declarations in the morning are Abraham's blessing belongs to me. Abundance and prosperity are God's will for me. Everything that I do prospers. Everything that I touch succeeds. The wisdom of God surrounds me. The wisdom of God overtakes me. The wisdom of God helps me to make sound decisions. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored amongst men. My name is being mentioned in rooms that I haven't even walked into yet. Y'all got to speak this over yourself. You really have to have that same kind of dogmatic, in your face confession and confidence about yourselves, but it only comes when you know who you are in Christ, and that's what's so important. I'm a faithful tither. God supplies all my needs. God is my Jehovah Jireh. God is my provider. I refuse to be concerned about financial situations. I only seek first the kingdom of God. Therefore, I know that everything that I need, I'm not I'm not worried about whether it's going to be added to me. I don't have any questions about whether or not it's going to be added to me because I seek first the kingdom of God. I know, I am assured, I am certain that everything that I need will be added to me. The Lord takes pleasure in my prosperity. I declare boldly that I'm prosperous. I declare boldly that I have more than enough. I declare boldly that I'm blessed to be a blessing. I declare boldly that the Lord delights himself in me and that he gives me the desires of my heart. David's defeat of Goliath wasn't the end of his story. He went on to succeed Saul as the king and was favored by men and by God. But it started because he had confidence in who he was in Christ. That was the beginning of his succession to the throne. And the Bible also tells us that David was a man after God's own heart. He was treasured by God because he always recognized and respected and understood that God had first place in his life. So God has a plan and a purpose for each of us. But it's important in how you address the Goliaths in your life that will determine whether you have the victory. Because God has already made the plan for you that the only outcome should be victory. Amen.
Come on, I need y'all to put some hands together. Man, that's so many great things you shared there. So many things that I hope all of us can take away, especially when you are in when that Goliath is in front of you and you are in your day of difficulty. What you say, what comes out of your mouth, it is so critical. It is extremely important. And so, that's something, of course, Pastor Rowe taught year after year. And it was like, I'm finding that we can never get enough of that because the
Yes.
enemy is always trying to attack our
Yep.
mind, which results in our words not being aligned with the word of God. So I need y'all one more time. Put the fire emojis in the chat. I need everything. Man, if that word blessed you, if you received it, all of the above. Let's get ready to receive our offering here. If you have not sown yet, I want to encourage you and get your seed in the ground. As always, even during our midweek time, I want to thank everybody who continues to be faithful even during the midweek in your giving. If you have not, if you said, man, I've been kind of slacking, I don't sow during the midweek. Tonight is a great night to start, to resume for some of us. And so I want to give you that opportunity, all the ways that you can give. You can find it right there on the screen. And I promise you, this is good ground. This is great ground. I believe you'll see a great return as a result of you obeying God in your giving. And then as Cash App, you can use that method as well. Man, this was awesome. I hope and I pray you were blessed by this word. And I want to encourage any and everybody you watching. Maybe you say, man, I need to get back to church. I need to get back committed to it. What better time than this Sunday? Come on, 10:30 a.m. It's going to be a great time. The three components I always talk about that we want to create is the worship, the word, and community. So I want you to make it your business. Come on, get there. If you can be there in person, be there. I promise you it'll be worth it. And then of course you can watch online wherever you're viewing right now. Facebook, YouTube, you can watch same time, same place, but at 10:30 a.m. And I pray you have sweet sleep tonight. I pray the joy of the Lord is with you. You will wake up tomorrow knowing who you are, ready to look. Your Goliath is already defeated. All you got to do is go and take the victory that belongs to you. So receive that today, and I look forward to seeing y'all Sunday morning, or I'll see you next Thursday night right here on the Uplift. All right, everybody. Good night.